Okay, so welcome everyone to our Wednesday evening Zoom that we do here at FitFix Therapy. Me and the guys are going to go through some training this evening. Just waiting to present. Okay, right. So today, the first thing we're going to talk about is housekeeping as usual. Stay muted, just so we don't get like echoes if you're somewhere noisy or kids screaming, etc. Get involved. That's the whole idea. Ask questions and think of like topics for me to prepare for future. Okay, so just having a look at a few of the check-in questions here. Gagan, I think the first one was from you. Can we exercise or train without relying on tech so much? And yes, you can. So I don't actually have it to hand with me, but some days I don't mind having my phone with me so I know what I'm doing. And other days I actually like recording it and going old school and going pen and paper. So let's just pretend that this is my booklet. I just keep my exercise program logbook in my gym bag. I throw it in there, I make sure I've got a pen. I can stick my phone in the locker. And especially when you start to get used to your routines and you start to know what your exercises are and what the sets and reps are. When I'm training personally in the morning and I know what I'm doing the next morning, one of my sort of bedtime things that I might do is go into my book and I'll see perhaps maybe tomorrow morning is Thursday. I'll see what I did the previous Thursday and go, I won't even have to look at my phone. So there's my phone free time. And I'll just go in and it'll be like a nice, if I don't fancy reading before bed that night, I might just sit down and write down and copy across the exercises that I'd done the week before or the previous days that follow that program. And it's there ready for you. And then you can always upload later on. Now, I know that I do like it when you start the session in your app, because then I get to see how long something is taking you. Because quite often when you're training, if you're really into your training, time can kind of disappear and you don't know if you've been in there for 45 minutes or an hour and 15. And then you might come to me and say, do you know what, I can't find X amount of time, or this session is getting too long for me, or this session is too short. Can we have some more in there? If I can see how long a session is generally taking you, I can then kind of program a little bit more or less and tailor that to you. But yeah, so for the logbook, you can get a fitness logbook, like a blank one. And it will have all the little boxes and the sets and reps and things written in there ready for you. You can grab one of those off Amazon. Easy peasy. And yeah, I really recommend them. I think they're great and they're quite nice to reflect on later on. So in years to come, you can see what weights you were doing, or you can look at things as well. And it's quite nice because it almost feels like a bit of a journal. So I really like that. And I've stumbled across old training diaries that I've had from years ago, and it's just been really nice to see where I've progressed within my own fitness. That's really cool. So another question, anyone got any feedback on that or anything they want to say or add to that first bit of spiel?
Yeah, I mean, just from my point of view, the reason why I put that question forward is because I'm in a gym on my phone all the time, and it's a bit annoying. So, but obviously, I have to use it to figure out what I'm doing exercise wise. But I might be quicker to just write it down and then do it after sometimes. So
Exactly.
I have to work out a plan, but I'll work on it. It should be fine.
I think for you, because you're quite new into your plan, some of the things you have to kind of revisit and remind yourself about.
Yeah.
But I think also for you being a business owner, you probably, your gym time is your time. You don't really want to be hassled during that time. So it's actually really good practice to put your phone away. And I think especially when you're in the gym environment, quite often you do see people just staring at their phones. They could be checking an exercise, or quite often they're looking at TikTok. So
this is the first time I've used the phone in the gym, basically last week.
Yeah.
When you give me the exercises. Before that, the phone's in the locker.
Brilliant. Well, that could be something for next week once you get into
maybe
knowing what
I'll
you
turn
need
off
to
the
do?
data, I'll turn off the just I'll turn it on silent or anything, put it in a locker. It is me time, to be honest. It is my time. So, but obviously I need to make sure I know what I'm doing during my time. So
Pen and paper, you know, can't be old school. We love data and stuff like that. It's obviously how I get to coach you and see what you're doing. Right. So it's a shame that we haven't got more people on the call, because people ask these questions and they miss the answers. So I have to, like, you know, commend both of you, the guys on my team that are sticking to these calls. I really appreciate you. So does it matter when I eat around workouts? Sometimes I don't eat until after the session. Well, that's what the rest of this you know, presentation is going to be about, or this Zoom tonight and this chat. And then also somebody else was asking about manic days, what would help in terms of nutrition and training if I can't get in the gym or make meal prep. So I think with that one, if you can get to your local, you know, if you've got one of those express Sainsbury's or Tesco's around, you know, things, you know, making healthier meal snacks or choices. Perhaps maybe don't reach for the meal deal of the, you know, the sandwich with a bag of crisps and a sugary Coca-Cola. Perhaps you might need to be a little bit more inventive around how you make your meals. So for me personally, if I know that I need to get protein in, or you know, I might need to, you know, maybe I'm using my carbohydrates for later on in the day, and perhaps I want a meal where I'm going to eat more fats and protein, you know, I might buy one of those ready-made salad things where it's just a salad in the packet from Tesco's. And what I've done when I've been, you know, in jobs where I've worked and it's, you know, I've got to travel, etc., and I haven't had time to meal prep, I've literally gone, right, I know I can get X from the shop, but I'll bring X with me. So the X that I bring with me might be some pre-flavored like tofu or seitan, and I'll chop it up and I'll put it in an empty Tupperware, like quite a big Tupperware box. And then I'll take that with me. And then when I go out, then I can go, and you can usually find bits, you know, like small little microwave pouches of vegetables. You can find salad packets, and I just usually put it in my Tupperware box and just give it a mix. And, you know, maybe there's some sauce or condiments or something nice to put with that, you know. But that's personally what I think would be good as a meal choice. You can always get you know, prepared fruit, so you don't even have to cut your apples up these days. They come in little plastic bags. I don't know why you just wouldn't bite into the apple, but some people like picky food, don't they? Again, apple with peanut butter, and you can buy these nice little squidgy bottles of peanut butter. That's quite a nice little snack to have. And other things that you might find is things like yogurts. Yogurts are always great, you know, yogurts with some fruit again. I think there are definitely ways, you know, inventive or creative ways to get eating on the go, which doesn't result you in picking up the phone and quite easily just doing a delivery where you're going to spend 20-30 pounds on crap, basically. So I think if you haven't prepared your lunch when you're out, there are ways of eating, you know, to suit your goals. Okay, cool. Any other questions or anything to add, guys?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just keep some cutlery in the car, you know.
Do you know what? I'm going to show you what I've got, right?
Handy, very handy.
So I've got two of them, and these are what are they? They're just, you know, they come in a little silicone pouch. This is Joseph and Joseph. They do great stuff, and it's just like magnetic cutlery. So it's like real cutlery, you know.
Amazing.
And that's another thing. I really didn't like eating with like wooden forks and spoons. You can never really dig in. So that's you can get that on Amazon as well. Okay, perfect. Right. So Shivan, anything to add or? Because you generally don't ask questions at the end of your check-in.
You know what? I just try and figure out my own solutions.
That's fine. But I'm always here, and the group's always here, and these calls are always here as well. So yeah, feel free. Right, let's move along then. Okay, so this is today's chat, if you like. Meal timing and nutritional considerations around training. So if we kind of think about meal timing to start with, and is there any preference with meal timing or how many meals you want to eat a day? Again, a lot of these things really depend on your lifestyle. I think a lifestyle, B, that's what's going to help you get, adhering to that plan, and you're going to follow it. And, C, perhaps maybe there's more considerations that we might make around training, for example. I think that's probably where it's more important. But I'd love you guys to dive in and ask some questions. But some of the things I was looking at is some people like to, in terms of meal frequencies and stuff, they might go, I need 6 meals a day, or I need 2 meals a day, or 3 meals a day. It honestly depends on what works for you. And for, most of us growing up, it was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And maybe you'd get like a second dinner at 4 o'clock when you got back from school. And that was like, a nice snack or something. And then you'd have your real dinner around 7 with everyone else. So again, it just really depends on what suits you. And for me personally, when I kind of went into working, when you work shifts, for example, you can't choose a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're eating your breakfast at 5 a.m, fine, but you might not get your lunch. You might have your lunch break at 11 a.m, and then your next break, depending on if you're working a later shift, your dinner might be at 4. So it just really, and then you might not eat until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So it really, depends on, firstly, considering what your lifestyle is like. And in terms of like the timing and stuff, around training, that's what we can kind of dive into, perhaps maybe a little bit more. Any questions so far, or anything to add? Shivam, what's your meal timing like?
I normally have breakfast at around 7, just gone 7. Lunch at 1, dinner at about 5:30, 5:36.
Nice.
And that's pretty much it. I've tried to cut out all snacks.
Brilliant.
Except for weekends. Friday, I consider snack-wise, I consider Friday, Saturday as weekends.
Right, got you. Because Sunday you're kind of gearing up and getting yourself back into routine.
Yeah,
ready.
and because we have kind of practice meetings at work where they give lunch, and it kind of turns into you end up eating a little bit different than what you normally have. So I kind of consider that as part of a junk food day.
I agree. And from memory, when I worked in like a physio clinic, I was absolutely mind blown, because I thought, you guys are health professionals, and it would be absolutely any excuse for somebody to come and donate, or bring in a cake. Then they'd have donuts on the side.
These guys have literally every day they've got cakes or chocolates or something in the kitchen, but I just stay away. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm not even looking in that direction.
No, the thing is, I mean, it's normal for us to have, things that we like and snacks, and I think it's important to, but as lifestyle choices, I think we cannot get away from the fact, because all three of us here, I would probably say that we're all pretty, we're on the healthy side of life. I mean, for a start, you've chosen to make a lifestyle change already just by entering the world of coaching and like just changing up your whole routine. But there are people out there, and especially in you know, in places where there are big, you know, there's teams and there's lots of, you know, like social things going on together. There are snacks galore. You know, you might have carrots and hummus on a plate and some apple slices from a packet, but that's about it in health. And the rest of it is cupcakes and, you know, what are they called? Those
And
fingers,
then
chocolate
that
fingers.
easily becomes the norm.
It does become the norm, but then you know, then we it's hard to, well, it's not hard, it's easy to see why we have an obesity issue in the UK. And it's not to say that these foods should not be enjoyed. I think we should enjoy things that we like. We shouldn't demonize anything, but at the same time, I think what needs to happen is us as making good meal choices and seeing food as something that, yes, there is an element of reward and comfort, but actually it's there to fuel us. It's there to fuel us. It's there to, you know, make us strong, to get us through the day, and to help, you know, our bodies develop and, you know, as we progress through further stages of life as well. So you always want to look at the overall, you want to see health as something that you invest in. And so everything that we put in now, it's going to affect us at some point. And whether that's because, you know, we've made certain food choices, or, you know, for many of us, it can be very unfortunate that, you know, we've got the genetic predisposition that might affect us. I know definitely as South Asians, we're all definitely on the, you know, the diabetes type 2. We're all at risk at that. We all are, unfortunately. And then, of course, it's the way that traditionally we eat, you know, but that's a whole nother discussion. And yeah, so, you know, very interesting. Where were we? Guggen, anything to add? How's your dinner?
Oh, it's amazing. It was good. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
What are you having?
I'm having a I think it's a haddock fish cake with some salad and a potato waffle. So I'm probably gonna
Good.
get. Yeah, I'm not sure how the whole sort of nutrition side of things works yet, but we'll discuss it tomorrow probably. I
Yeah,
assume,
of course. Yeah,
because
definitely.
right now I'm just eating whatever and tracking it.
From what I understand, and when we last spoke, you said that you generally pick at things that are in the fridge or in the, you know, they're in the kitchen, and you just kind of whack them together, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, more or less. And then more or less what was in the fridge. See if I've got any bits I put together. Like today, I had a bit of beetroot lying around, so it's going to go off in a couple of days. So I had that with some. There was an offer, and I'm a big sort of, because I run a business. I'm always looking at ways to cut costs, and unfortunately, I bring that into my personal life, so which is not good. But I'm a big fan of yellow stickers basically. So what we'll do is go to the shops, grab some yellow sticker stuff, and work out afterwards like what to have. So my menu for the week is always based on what I can find in the shops. Then I work out afterwards normally, and obviously I need to spend a bit more time looking at the nutrition and the carbs and the protein and stuff. But generally, yes, that's what I do. So, but yeah, my weekend's a bit messed up. So.
Well, no, do you know, the thing is, I think going for the reduced style is brilliant. And I think you know, you can always, there's always flexibility there. So it doesn't have to be, you know, 100% rigid. But what you probably don't want to go is go to the reduced section and literally pick up all the same types of food that have all, you know, they're missing something, you know, they're missing the protein, or, you know, they're missing some part of nutrition in, you know, in terms of creating that meal, like eating, I don't know, a wild bean rice pot thing and then having a bag of potatoes with it. I mean, that
no, you got obviously, yeah. I mean, you've got to be a bit sensible. So what I would generally do is try and find some protein that's on yellow sticker, and then I know I've got some veg lying around at home. If I haven't got any veg in my fridge, I'm too tight to buy any from the shops, or they've run out, I would just go into the freezer and see what I've got, and then I'll just mix it up basically. So
perfect.
But yeah, that's my thing at the moment. But in terms of routine, I don't really have a strict routine in terms of what time I eat in the morning. So I wake up anywhere between 7 and 11, to be totally honest with you. So I would have something small to eat first, and then go to the gym maybe, or I would have something a bit bigger to eat and go gym in the afternoon. And then I would generally always have a meal or a small sandwich or a wrap or something at around 4 o'clock before a dinner at about 8 or 9 or even 7 sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, no. So for you, again, you know, your days can start that bit later and probably finish quite late. So
Yeah. Then if I
eating
finish late as
patterns
well,
is
so
gonna
yeah,
be
I might be in bed between 11 and half 1. So yeah, it's quite a random routine that I've got, to be honest. But yeah.
yeah, but it, you know, it works, and that's what we've got to go with. And thank goodness that you're not doing shift work, because that's where stuff really gets tricky.
Yeah, that's the only thing, because occasionally I might have to do cocktail evenings here and actually make drinks, which is fun, I won't lie. But that means I will finish late basically, and then I'll have to work out my I might eat dinner before I start the shift at 5 or 6 and have a proper meal, and then afterwards I'm always gonna be hungry, so I might have a little cheeky cocktail and then a small snack. Like it could just be some cheese and meat, in all honesty, and before I go to bed, and that's it. All good.
All right, brilliant. Right, let's have a look at what other things I've got on my my list here. Right, so again, yeah, so breakfast, before training and after training, generally how we want to eat. So some people are breakfast skippers and some people like breakfast. I think when it comes to breakfast, I thought we'd talk about it because it's always been this like, you know, there's been this like propaganda about breakfast being like the best meal of the day. And, you know, there is probably, I think, well, there is a study that supports that pretty well, as it, you know, there was an outcome there, and, you know, what health magazines and God knows, they jump on it and they just, that's it, they run with an idea and they don't look at the alternatives as well. And then breakfast skipping, so obviously that's probably more a thing that a lot of people do now, and I think it's because it's quite hard for some of us to actually stomach a meal after having a night of fasting. Like that's quite hard. And like for me, well, Guggen, for you as well, if you've eaten a meal quite late the night before, well, actually, you should have plenty of energy to kind of get up and actually not need breakfast. You'll still have fuel in your reserves, you know, you'll have glucose. And so you'll be fine. But for some of us, you know, like Shivam, his last meal was 6 in the evening, and then you're up quite early. So breakfast is obviously your opportunity to really fuel before you get out for the day. So that's, you know, I think with the breakfast, again, it's pretty much a lifestyle choice. And what works
to be honest,
for you.
with breakfast, for a long time I used to skip breakfast because I was doing time restricted eating. It's only after joining this program that I've reintroduced breakfast. So I was for a long time doing my first meal being at a midday.
Yeah.
So, and I'd have about a 6-7 hour eating window.
Yeah. But again, the eating window, the benefit with that would be if you actually skipped the meal out, right, to create a calorie deficit. But, you know, again, what some people do, and you definitely, you know, I mean, just trying to think back to when you started introducing breakfasts, but you know, some people that might eat in the window time might think it's a free-for-all. So I think it's also something to be considered, that
Yeah,
the
because I
reason
think
why
if you keep having snacks even in that time, then you're not going to get any benefits.
no, of course not. Exactly. They're all going to go out of the window. You know, I think the biggest thing here is ultimately whatever, you know, minuscule effect that you might, an outcome that you might get from fasting or skipping breakfast, or, you know, eating within a windowed period, or having 3 meals, or having you know, 6 meals a day because you want to boost your metabolism, or whatever it is that you are, or whatever phase or, you know, thing that you're kind of going right and gearing towards. After all, the biggest thing that's going to make a change is your calorie intake and expenditure.
And I don't actually think that it's very important that breakfast be in the morning, because breakfast is essentially breaking your fast. Can
That's
be
right. Yeah.
at any time of the day. And I think that's probably where this biggest meal thing comes into it, where I mean, if you break your fast in the middle of the day, you need that big meal. And our ancestors wouldn't have had the resources to have a big meal first thing in the morning as soon as they wake up.
They'd have to go and find it.
That's it.
Forage it, yes. Or kill
So
it.
that's what our bodies would be designed
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's right. It's very important. Yeah. And I just feel like we've just got so much, just, you know, food is constantly around us all the time, you know, work, snacks and cakes and all sorts of things. So, you know, you definitely have to think mindfully and think about, you know, really understanding what it is that you're bringing into your body, and not just thinking about that instant pleasure that you're going to get it, or the instant reward, thinking about the long-term reward of that as well. So moving on, so I guess this kind of ties in to perhaps maybe, you know, what should I be eating before training? So training, again, everything depends. Everything is so unique and really depends on you. But I think I think we can all agree that having a big meal before a training session is not a good idea. Like going in and having, you know, dal and rice and God knows what else in a big heavy meal before training, you're just going to make yourself sick. And let's say you had a smaller portion of that, you might find that you're unable to digest it, because where is your energy going to be? What are you going to be metabolizing? What are you going to be? What's your body doing? It's rather than focusing on the aspect of digestion, which it needs time for, it's going to be rushing over to support your, you know, cardiovascular system and your muscles and everything. And you're going to be having, you know, gut sensitivity issues. It's, you know, you can give yourself a stomach cramp. So, you know, again, be mindful before training. I think half a banana, if it's very early in the morning, you really can't stomach anything. One of the things that I might do, if I know that I've had a long period of fasting and I know I need to go and train, I might do like a really small serving, or like a 20-gram serving of oats with a bit of protein in there. But again, a very small, maybe a quarter scoop or a half scoop at most, just something to kind of get a bit of energy in, and maybe, you know, a bit of a sprinkling of fruit or something. You don't want anything heavy. Yes, protein and carbs are important for your training, but you'll find that as long as you're not starving yourself, you'll be okay. But it's important to get at least, or to have a reserve of some sort in there. And then after training, you want to think about refueling. So obviously that's where you want to kind of replenish the carbohydrates and the protein as well. And you want that nice big bolus or surge of protein to help, you know, increase the muscle protein synthesis, making sure you got your amino acids in there, because you really want to utilize, recover and grow and, you know, benefit from the training that we've just imposed on our bodies. Okay. And especially, you know, whatever that might look like for you, whether that's, you know, running or lifting weights, you want to replenish, you know, fluids as well, and things like electrolytes. But if we're thinking about the macro composition of, you know, meal timings and meals, etc., you probably want ideally, we're not heavily relying on greasy food anyway, but you don't want the greasy food around your training. So you want to kind of be a little bit more, you know, mindful as to how much oils or fats or anything like that are in your meals either side of training. You really want to utilize your calories towards protein and carbohydrates. Any questions while I take a sip of water?
No, nothing from me.
And all good from you, Shivan, as well.
Yeah, all good, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Right, we're at the end, guys. Yeah, I think a half an hour kind of sums it up for all of us. And for anyone watching this back, I have actually been saving the recording and then putting it into the group. So I really hope that some of the other girls, the ladies, have actually been watching this. I'll have to nudge them all. But yeah, this has been good fun. I really enjoy coming on Zoom here and connecting with everyone every week. I think it's important for us to kind of, keep that community going and share wins with each other, share struggles. And again, if we want to dive in and kind of bring our minds to a certain topic, then yeah, why not? And we'll do sleep eventually as well, because I think that was quite cool last week when you started touching on that. So yeah, I'll have to get some brain juices going for that. And just a reminder, between tomorrow and Friday midday is your check-in time. Cool. Any questions? I'm going to stop the share there and stop recording.